November. You are away for a while.
All right, folks, welcome back. Those who have come back. We will reconvene and take ourselves to page 159, which is the electoral system review. And Wayne, that is your turn.
Thanks. Okay, I'll take that off paper as read. The choice that you've got to make today is whether you'd like to retain first past the post system or if you'd like to change to a single transferable vote. That is basically the option is it. So, yeah. Thoughts?
Councillors, thoughts?
I just want to say thank you, Wayne, for sending through the little things that actually made it really clear and straightforward and
Yeah. There was the thing that I found interesting with it, so I did some further reading, is if you have a situation where say you've got 4 candidates, take it to the middle, just makes it easier. If you've got 4 candidates and the first past the post, if one of them gets 40%, the other 2 get 3 lots of 20, then 60% of the people said no to the person who will win. And is that really that good? Because under SPV that may not work out that way. 40% of the people put that person as number 1 and the other 60% put them as number 4, then you're probably going to get a mayor who the majority of people prefer to the one that they'll get under first past the post. And that's the example that really does highlight that it is probably a fair system. It has some complexities though. So on the flip side, you've got a 45% voter turnout. Make it complicated. Is that going to make it even less?
Did a little bit of research of my own on whether SPV councils have a greater voter turnout than FPP. No, they don't. FPP is still ahead. It's much of a muchness, but out of the 15 councils, obviously voting wasn't included because they didn't have that vote last time around. But out of all of them, only 1 got above 50% for voter turnout, and that was Nelson. And in first past the post, just of the ones I looked at, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 councils at least that had more than 50% turnout. So it doesn't seem to increase people's interest in voting.
Would be only that they may be more conservative places that have high voter turnout regardless. But I think that's valid. It certainly doesn't help.
Spread around the councils, but some of them are bigger cities and some of them are random small locations in the middle of nowhere. It didn't seem to be like real Taihu and Wellington, Kapiti and Hamilton are all on there, but still some quite small places, but.
Interesting. Martin, thank you for that, Tony.
That was basically what I looked at also, and the fact is that I don't think it would. I think it would have a detrimental effect on our current rating base because of the conservative nature. People, I don't think it's certainly not going to increase participation, even though in some ways it was better, and in some ways, as an incumbent, it does work in the incumbent's favour.
You know that scientifically or anecdotally?
Anecdotally.
Yeah, I've heard the same. But
Yes.
I've never seen it.
No, I don't, there's not a huge amount of research, but it works in fact, there's a lot of research done around local body elections go, mention name recognition.
Yeah.
It's been, where people start ticking boxes, when you have to start thinking about it, a lot of people don't think about it.
the other thing is, arguably, there is some people that are, it's kind of already sneaking in a way, because some people might only put 1 tick
Oh, yeah.
on their vote. So they're not voting for 4, 5, 2.
Yeah.
They're voting for 1, they're voting for that person, and I'm just going to vote for that 1 person.
Yeah.
So that's certainly something that I think the issue here is about education of the voters as to what the systems actually are and how they work. I don't think that people are sufficiently informed to make that informed decision. And what Tracy just said is that I know it's not going to happen, and it usually wrong. But do those that see the paper says select 4, go up to 4. They go and tick 4 because they haven't thought about that. With STV, the diligently probably go and rank them all the way through. I don't know that it's going to necessarily give you a change in the quality of the outcome. What I take the view is that I haven't been convinced by anything that's broken to be fixed. There is something I thought. Sit there. And the status quo to me is a pretty good starting point in these sort of situations, especially when the community has an option to say, actually, we want change. They can demand the change. And that's if we go through the regulations here, it's not adopted, then we actually make the change. If you don't like it, you can do this. And encourage people to actually say, you know, have your say. It's a bit like going to an ombudsman or whatever. Those sort of, you have the right. If you don't like what you're doing, use it.
Yeah, do any of you have somebody stop you in the street or in the cafe or wherever and say, well, aren't you doing STV?
Can I ask just how much, if, this hypothetically, if we said, okay, we were going to put this to our community, they have their say about it, what's the cost? And would that cost far outweigh whatever benefits we're going to actually get? I'm not talking about the actual result, I'm talking about the cost of actually doing the process, staff timing, resourcing, posters, all sorts of things. I don't know how much that would cost.
Any idea on that one?
I think this would be a lot. I thought that might come up, and I don't have an exact figure, but just to give you an idea, in my report, I mentioned that at 2022 elections, there was 16,935 eligible voters, or enrolled voters, I should say. And currently at this stage, it's costing about $2 to send out a DLE envelope. So postage would be about $32,000, I would think.
Yeah.
So without getting crazy with the figure, you probably get a change from 40,000.
Online and the rest.
Yeah.
What did the by-election and crime cost? So it's 30,000 to go to a third of our population?
Yeah. So that is
That's sort of the thing, isn't it? So lots of thousands, but lots of problem, really. Yeah.
So just following on from what Neil said, if it's not broken and if the community hasn't really pushed for it, and we're on a tight budget as it is, it's actually
Yeah, from some others in, what do you think?
I'm happy with the current system, like Neil and Tracy have said, if it's not broken, that's it.
What about you, Lynn?
I'm happy with the current system.
Sarah?
I don't think there's any gain in, like, sometimes I think it's quite good to be able to see the number of votes. I think the actual numbers quite powerful. Some people use it both ways, for and against every argument, but that takes that away as well. You're only reaching a threshold and then it's a bit more of a hidden result. In that respect, I think it's quite good having that transparency of numbers of who is voting where and who isn't. Those numbers as well.
yes, and Cheryl.
I don't think we can be too complicated. It's hard enough to get our community to vote in the first place. And if we start adding hurdles, they're just going to shy away from it. We want them to vote.
I don't know if you're honest.
Current system.
Sally?
Yeah, current system.
I guess the thing is that there is, the right to demand poll, if it turns out we've got it catastrophically wrong. The other thing is that we've now got the ORC, which we see DCC's done it for a while, that doesn't affect us, but ORC will, our voters will have the opportunity in 2025 to trial this TV. So maybe after that, somebody might say to any of us, it's a good idea. So I think that, to me, the most influential was around there, and nobody's heading and knocking on the door saying this. So, but I'm going to go and if somebody wants to second that. Neil, thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Very good.
The candidates really isn't voting to.
Turn up on time, yes, you wasn't even.
Note for the record, for the first time, Stu had nothing to say. My apologies. You know, good, Martin. Right.
See you, old fella.
Right, financial report. Welcome, Doc.
Yeah.
On your top today?
What's it?
On your own today?
On my own today, yes, Susan had to nip away, so
Floor is yours.
wonderful, thank you. So take the paper is being read, for the financial performance for May 2023, there was an overall favorable operating variance of 5.8 million. There's a favorable operating income variance of 10.9 million. This is mainly driven by the development in reserve contributions and along with this, the sales from subdivisions, including Dunstan Park and Cemetery Road. This is offset by the Whakakotaki subsidies of a variance of $748,000 and the metered wolf sales of $718,000. So the Whakakotaki subsidies fluctuate with the work program, so they can be up and down, and basically what it means is that we haven't done work to receive that income. The metered water sales are lower than expected due to water usage being in the summer period. And there is an estimated shortfall of 400,000 K for the end of the financial year. So this is something that's been adjusted for in the current annual plan, the 23-24 annual plan, to reflect this loss, and it's also being analysed during the long-term plan process. So the operating expenditure has an unfavorable variance of 5.1 million. This is continuing to be driven by depreciation of 5.7 million. And that's a result of the revaluation that was done in June 2022. This is a non-cash transaction, so it just means that we are not rate funding that depreciation. Other areas unfavorable include the contracts, which continues to be driven by wastewater and water due to increased sampling costs, service requests and reactive repairs that have needed to be carried out. Grants has an unfavorable variance, which is mainly due to the Rockford Pool grant, which the budget was in the previous financial year. And we've also had the Central Otago Golfers Trust, the Alexandra District Museum, and the Cromwell White Park grants, which have been issued outside the budget. The cost of sales has an unfavorable variance of 585,000. This is just due to the timing of the Cemetery Road budgets. So we've had costs come through in May, but the budget has been forecasted for June. So this will catch up, but of course the income and the expenses lie together, so they will come through with a profit at the end of the day. Capital expenditure has a total of 39% of the full year budget being spent. This is due to a mixture of statuses for the projects, including timing, work programs, contractor availability, whether they're in design investigation or paper status. At present, we're working through the annual report for 30 June 2023. So we do not at present have any end of year financial results to really give you. So at present, we have an estimated operating surplus of about $7 million, excluding the vested assets, which I believe are around about $13 million. So central. That's it. Any questions?
Questions, councillors?
I did have one, but it may be for someone who's here. Just on page 171 on the roading, it says Clyde Bridge traffic lights 320 K. I was just trying to work out whether that was because we didn't put them on this year, so there was a saving, or.
I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I hadn't quite got around to asking that question.
I don't think that, I can ask you big offline. I'm just curious because I don't think they cost us. I think we might have budgeted permanent lights that haven't gone ahead or something because 320 is
Yeah.
Surely it wasn't what it cost for years.
No, I don't believe that's for the temporary ones, no.
I'll ask you, Pete, I should have done that before. Okay. Anyone else? Neil?
Yeah, I've been pondering this. That water production, that's a big chunk of money. If it's down the summer, $700,000.
The water beach scale.
Yeah.
400,000.
I thought it was 700.
So that's a timing in the budget, but for the forecast for the end of the financial year, it will be a loss of about $400,000.
Still a lot.
That's a lot, just,
That is a lot. I'm not too sure what the.
there must be a good reason, a better reason than less use in the summer or something.
Yeah, next summer.
Because the good thing about it, if we haven't used it, it won't cost us. Because we haven't produced it.
Yes, but the other fortunate part is that we've used that in the annual plan calculations for the rates collection, which means that we've actually under received our revenue for our forecasted operating expenditure, which again is.
But that's offset by a saving in expenditure though. And that's what the discussion this morning about that whole three waters volumetric uniform annual charge, trying to get that balance right. I think it's a really good example of how you get that balance wrong and you can come unstuck. And you'd hope that we've got a UAC that's in place that says that these core costs are largely met. We're not short because we don't sell all the water we thought we were going to sell. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out.
So that against the total budget of 2.1. So
400,000, that's excellent. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm interested to see what happens. We said absolutely, yeah. And I've got the work Julie's going to be doing about today, so actually that's an issue. Yes. How do you get that balance right?
And it may have been in the past the balance made there because there wasn't as much treatment of electricity pumping. Remember the new Lake Dunstan supplies costing a lot more in electricity, so we won't see that. So, yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Anybody else? In that case, I'll move the report there received. Tony will second that. You. Thank you, Don. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Brings it to my report, and since I wrote it, I did start writing about Cliff Brunton, but I think it would be remiss of me not to note and pass in from there Dr. Malcolm McPherson. Firstly, I had a lot to do with Malcolm over the years, and I did make comment. I'll be my newspaper column tomorrow that probably the first contact I ever had with local government was writing them a letter asking why the Alexandra Pool was going to cost so much for 2 holes in the ground, but I distinctly remember putting 2 holes in the ground. I hadn't read the consultation document, I hadn't read anything in the newspaper, I hadn't attended any meetings or done anything, but I thought I had enough point.
It's just changed.
Anyway, and Malcolm, the man at the time wrote back to me, took the time to write a snail mail letter because that's all we had to describe how it would work. And I just remembered thinking how valued that made me feel. I didn't expect to get a reply, and that's carried through to this very day. And I try to get back to people. There are a small number of exceptions that I no longer try to get back to, but generally try to get back to people when they contact me. I think it's a very important part. And I also had the pleasure of being on Central Lakes Trust with Malcolm for my 3 years there. He was on our quiz team one time. I'll never forget. It was myself, Kevin Taylor, David Gibson, Malcolm, and we got second in the Great Rotary Quiz. Malcolm's wife on her own got first.
We got first in the quiz in Wednesday Club on Wednesday last week.
Right, thank you.
Was there anyone seen there?
No, 9.
Anyway, he's a great loss to the community, and we've all seen just in the recent years, Malcolm basically kept Central Storage going through the pandemic. Done wonderful work there, getting the committee in order, and he'll be sorely missed. As will Cliff Brunton, former Deputy Mayor of CODC and a member of the Alexandra Borough Council. Very entertaining man, great service to his community. Both lived exceptional lives. On the opposite note to those sad things, I was really thrilled to see Morgan Potter from TCO be awarded the Young Rising Stars Tourism Award, co-award. And I just think back to when Leanne Mash brought in the cadet scheme. We'll bring a couple of young ones in and see how they go, and Morgan's grabbed that by the throat and shaken it and done wonderful things. And it just, as I put there, I couldn't be happier and to have heard of her success. Very happy with the result from the Ombudsman that came out this week into the complaint on the Cromwell Hall consultation process that, quote, I've now formed the final opinion that CODC has not acted unreasonably. We cannot in this job hope to make everybody happy, and nor should we try. And so I think in that case, it was really good that what we did, which I thought was exceptional. Mahi was given the once over and given the, by the highest office really, and given the full tip to nearly go physical failure.
I have, yeah, because listen, I respect the right for people to be able to use processes that are available and to air their issues and concerns. And maybe I might be a little bit, what's the word, precious because of my involvement in that particular project for as long as anybody else has been involved in it. But I do find it quite disconcerting to think that someone in a quest to try and get something overturned can actually probably, you know, we know the cost of $4,500. I reckon that's 100 hours start time. That's 2.5 weeks of someone's work that didn't get done. And it really disappoints me to think that when people do these sort of things, they don't think about it. And that's going to be a balance that you think that also, that someone like the Ombudsman and others might also make that observation as well. Especially when I think they read what the decision was. It's pretty clear cut. You know, the process we followed, while not perfect, was extensive and wholesome and fulsome and took a whole lot of blood, sweat and tears by a whole lot of people. And to think that one person can go on their crusade and not and even now still and I say this because it's being said publicly, still saying I'm not finished yet. And the new CEO starts, he's going to carry on. I just find that really frustrating. But that's democracy for you. I'm a big fan of it, but just the nerves of it.
It's checks and balances, and if you live in a place that doesn't have the ability to complain about government, I think that'd be a much worse situation. I'm frustrated too, but particularly frustrated to see it's not over yet.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for the staff and all the time and effort into bring that information together and get it. And then what did it cost the ombudsman to go through it as well? It needs to be, I think, there needs to be some sort of hurdles in there or something else consider. What is it you call it? Frivolous and vexatious.
Yeah,
in other areas.
They can't breach that level to have got looking at.
So what would have bloody close? Oh, that would have been interesting. Well, I would have been scathing my response to that double check. I would have been scathing my response to the person that made that decision, probably. But then sucked up and accepted it.
Anyway,
thank you.
It was a good result. And where we're at. The then interim CEO Louise and I attended the Central Lakes workshop. That was exceptionally good. We do them every year, and it just allows us, ORC, QRDC, and the trust to sit down and look at what our combined aims are for the year. That's useful. Tamer and I attended the LGNZ conference at Te Pai in Christchurch. If you ever get a chance to go into that convention centre, it is just beyond all belief. It really is quite staggering. I've listed the highlights there. The futurist speaker who I texted my wife and said, let's just spend our retirement savings because there's no point. Sophie Howe, the first Future Generations Commissioner for Wales, I found her really, really interesting, really future focused. Everything has to be looked through the lens of future generations, and you wonder if we wouldn't be in some of the situations we are now. When I say we, I mean the world in general, not this council, they're having more. New Plymouth District Councillor Vinnie Moahu gave a very entertaining and informative talk on treaty partnerships. Absolutely brilliant. Chris Hickins spoke on a number of topics. Christopher Luxon also spoke on a number of topics. And then there was a great political debate with 4 major parties in New Zealand First, which was about as depressing as my looking in the mirror. I have to say, it was really underwhelming in the extreme. Tamer, do you have anything to add to that? No, far too often.
No, totally agree with your comments on the talk from Francis Valentine. That was terrifying. Yeah. No, Te Pai was awesome, and yes, I would have summed up that debate as yeah.
We can sum it up as one of the best and depend on you afterwards, but I don't like swearing in me. I've been appointed to a working group of LGNZ and Taitoa representatives to try to continue the mahi of the future for local government. I'm one of 7 mayors on that, and it's interesting work because the panel's now finished. We know the system's broken. The listener today, this week, has a very good article on parts of the system that's broken. Some people go, well, you need to just give us more money and everything will be all right. But realistically, I don't see that happening. We need to look at everything from the bottom up. And we've had a 2-year review that's done that. Like it or not, it's a very good place to start with where we need to go. So keep you posted as that progresses. Yeah, the Maniato Adventure Park in Naseby was awesome. The Summer Luge is not the death trap that the Coronet Peak one was. I attended the New Zealand Forum. It's interesting that behind the scenes stuff is fantastic, but the Auckland Airport redevelopment and expansion plans of almost $6 billion that are planned to come from landing fees is really disconcerting. I would like to hear Auckland Airport side of the story, because I only heard from the customer being, the primary customer being Air New Zealand, but if having a flasher terminal to land in means the airfares via Auckland are going to get even more expensive, I'd rather just turn up and think, well, they got the perfect airport.
We'll fly out later.
Or fly out on it. Had a couple of visits to the cleared half-mile reserve site. Again, you can't make all the people happy all the time. It's going to take time to get right, but already you can see the beauty and location of the place. It's absolutely inspiring. I think it's going to be wonderful when it's all tidied up, and particularly for the night sky. You know, I opened Winter Stella last night, and to see the pictures of what we have on offer here is just magnificent. And for Alexandra people, it's just there. You suddenly lose all the light. You've got the Woolbeck magnificent viewing platforms, and yeah, and goodness knows what we might do up there when somebody might do up there when the eclipse comes in 2025, 2028. We're going to go on to something like a smoothie diet, so I'm still alive by then. But
Very well.
But nonetheless, I think there's going to be something magic can happen up there when that comes up. 22nd of August, Cheryl, myself, Julie and Patrick went to Twizel to look at a ground-based water treatment system. I love being able to go and get eyeballs on something, because you'll learn a whole lot more. Gold-star presentation for Jim Land, 25 years service to the Alps Fire Brigade. Congratulations to him. Had the Malaysian High Commissioner come. It was fascinating, actually. Spoke to Central Otago Grey Power, met with the National Party candidate for Waitaki, attended Jackie Dean's valedictory speech to Parliament, and attended the opening of the Clutha Bike Club along with Dylan and Nance on Friday, at Waiholder, which was fascinating. Just to stand there at Waiholder and think, in the not too distant future, I'll be able to get on a bike here and go all the way to Queenstown Airport or Wanaka. Just magnificent. Yeah, it'd be great. You look at Christopher again.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to finish the nomination question.
Okay, and the opening of the new Balclutha Town Hall, which I wouldn't have attended but for I was in the neighbourhood, and also wanted to have a look at what, you know, a new town hall looks like and what they've got in there, and I'd recommend people go and have a look, particularly the Cromwell Community Board. It was fascinating.
Which is why I waited for you to finish. I seen you smile on face with the mayor of Twiga District.
Like it was taken by
yeah. Interesting, some comments being made about the cost and sort of references being made in various forums about being half the cost of a proposed board on college.
Yeah.
Any feedback you got from that trip that sort of says that actually, no?
Yeah, I talked to one of the heads of the trust and said, how come? And he said, if we were building it today, it would be around about what we're talking about for Cromwell.
Yeah.
They just got in early enough before, you know, my understanding, not from him, but from others, was the steel and stuff he's ordered before the world went mad. So, boom.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing for people to bear in mind. It's very easy to judge on something that's supposedly had, and while I did read that the final costs are going to be from the budget and going, that'll be a first, or anything like that. That aside, I think it's good to know that actually with what we're talking about for that particular one Cromwell, probably in today's world is there and thereabouts, and there's likely to be more yet. Good.
And it's not quite apples with apples either.
No.
Yeah, it's a magnificent thing, and you know, I'm a Clutha boy. I spoke a long time ago, but it's a magnificent thing for the township. And one of the things, no, I'm not going to say that. I won't say it at all. That's just magnificent. So that's my report. I'll move it.
Well, secondly,
Yeah, we'll second it. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, is there any questions?
I was just saying, Mr. Malcolm, it was the first time I got involved in politics. We won the
Trust Power Award for the Winterberg Good Share. He came with us to Glenham, we had him a presentation, got third. And, it's the first time I've ever had anything to do with near or anything like that, and he suggested I got involved in politics after.
So it's his fault.
It's his fault. But, yeah, no, he was.
I think we should be really glad we did.
Yes, well, that's all I knew, we were good.
Down.
No, sweet. So, yeah, that's it.
Okey-dokey, all those in favour? Aye, against, carried, thank you. The governance report from page 178 afterwards, including the organisation and business plan. So anybody got any comments, do any staff want to address anything in particular on those? Chris, do you want me to?
Just checking what cases.
Okay,
You're business thing.
pop on up then. I wasn't who was presenting, so you're most welcome. Lindley, you had your hand up.
It's after the business plan. Do you want me to wait? I
can answer the question anyway.
Anything including the business plan, so.
was just asking about on page 203, clean change 22, the night sky. And June, the clean change was being finalised for notification, then it's got in August being finalised for notification. I was just wondering where that was at and what's the time frame before that becomes operative.
I can speak to that. So I've spoken with Anne and just in relation to the other plan changes as well. So she's finishing off her 42A report. So we hope to have that completed in the next couple of weeks so that we can then notify that and the 81. So in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should have the next step forward.
That's great.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. And I know it's really anticipated for the local community and it's a really big thing. So we're keen to get it right. So I'm just finalising for them.
What would be the time frame from then?
So then we'll have 4 weeks of consultation in relation to that, get that feedback, and then feed that back to yourselves as to what things are saying.
My recollection was there was some after we approved plan change with the tag that some we never look at.
Yeah,
Before it, so while it seemed a long time ago we approved it, there was some work still there. Yeah.
Find out that information, but also that's where there was a slight delay in relation to the work that we had done as an organisation to the council staff, and then giving them information from in your current.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
I had one which I suspect will also be from Mr. Webster, which is the bottom of page 184. Consideration of New Zealand standard, the environmental engineering one that's not had anything happen since December 2019.
And for the job, I can take
So with water going on, there's a national standard for water and land development, and that's just in the final bits announcing that development. So we haven't pushed go on the development of our standards because with the water reform piece, there's a big unknown of half of that document. We have adopted the 2010 standard in principle subject to the addendum being updated. But we are on case by case developments working with developers around the use of 2010.
Okay.
So we are still just waiting to see that water piece before we go and look at our roading piece in that respect, because we may just might have a standard that excludes water, but we don't want to go through the process of updating it twice in a very short amount of time.
No, perfect, thank you. Page 196, the council mark program was supposed to have a new iteration coming out in July. Has anybody seen anything?
What I understand, there hasn't been any website updates, anything yet. So I don't know if they've pushed the button.
I'm at National Council on Friday, so I'll ask, and we'd also thought, given the new CEO has been away.
Yeah.
Some interviews too.
Yeah.
But I will ask on Friday.
Just need an update on where it's at, that'd be cool. And then the last one was the William Fraser office renovation project. Is that now complete? Is it closed?
I think I can.
It'd be exciting, wouldn't it?
What?
Christina, I had one on the business page, page 179. I may not be here, maybe you, maybe not. Under key risks, it's got poor advice and decision making. I'm wondering if that should be poor advice and or decision making, because staff could give great advice and you still get to bad decision making.
Who makes bad decisions?
I'm around here, but just get, see, doesn't understand.
Say, I'm receiving bad decisions on what, have you? Just a few election results.
Someone interested.
Right.
With those comments noted, somebody want to move that we receive the report, which is the organisation business plan and the August Council status updates. Tamer, seconded by Sarah. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Community board minutes on page 205. Is there anything new on this? Other than just to note receipt of them? I'll move that we receive them. Stuart seconded. All those in favour? Aye. And the date of our next will be 22nd of September. I look forward to seeing you all again. To the minutes of the festival being in attendance. Great to have you here today. 3 years ago. Yes. That's for a lot.
He thinks she wants to be a journalist. I hope you haven't heard
No, no, see us connect, so they just run you up. So, has anybody else had problems today with, .tap and documents going blank?
Yeah. That's why it's been so hard following the meeting.
I move that we exclude part of the reasons given and the place that it's given. Just 209. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
Goes away and.
Thank you so much.
That's